Well, I'm going to see if anything goes with cucumber.
There are three things you should know about Natalie MacLean. By her own admission, she can't cook worth a damn. She is a devoted mum, and she's having the kind of year most of us only dream about. In the last 9 months, the 37-year-old Ottawa sommelier and freelance wine writer has rocketed to prominence, sweeping the Burt Green Award for food writing, a James Beard Medal for excellence in food and wine writing, and she topped it off by being named the world's best drinks writer at the World Food Media Awards in Australia.
I do a lot of drinking, and I come from a long line of hard drinkers.
How does a Cape Breton native end up a wine expert? Natalie had no idea what a Shiraz was until her husband suggested a wine appreciation course, just for something to do.
Okay. I say that I started drinking when I met my husband, and I haven't found a reason to stop.
It uncorked a passion she never knew existed. She studied, honed her tasting and aromatic skills, and graduated as a sommelier. She began to write about wine. 4 years later, her web newsletter and columns reached more than 2.2 million people. Readers religiously follow her wine selections in Canada, as well as in the London Sunday Times and the New York Times. Just this summer, Elle magazine named Natalie MacLean among the top 30 power women in Canada. She's up there with the biggies like Celine Dion and Shania Twain. How does she do it?
Wine can be so pretentious, so elitist. It can be such an exclusionary type of topic that I just can't help but poke fun at it. And I think humor is what prevents you from being a snob, prevents you from getting sentimental or pedantic or anything that's really easy to do with wine writing. And I think people listen more when they're laughing.
There are cases of wine writers out there, but not many of them show a sense of humor about wine swilling. Take, for example, Natalie's recent column on wine and food shows.
You don't want to wear white, because inevitably you're going to be a magnet for people holding glasses of red wine. So forget the Chanel suit. In fact, go with the Scotch-guarded black suit. I mean Scotch-guarded, not Scotch-guarded. You also want to try to sample around. Try lots of different wines. It may be tempting to have 17 free samples or 50-cent samples of your beloved Shiraz, and that'd be cheaper than buying the bottle. But that's really not the great thing about wine shows. Wine shows give you that chance to sample broadly and find a new favorite.
The world of wine can be intimidating. Natalie's success comes from making it accessible.
I write about wine snobbery, or the purple prose that's used to describe wine. You know, we get so carried away with description that I don't think anybody's ever smelled in their life, like gooseberry bushes, I'm still looking for those, or wet violets under an arc of tar. I mean, I don't know what that is. Then you get into people making out wine as people. So you get into rakish and tight and muscular, and I'm thinking Brad Pitt.
And just in case you think she's not serious about wine,
we decided to go with this. It is a wine cabinet, and 3 men hand-carved all the little facets, the little grapes and leaves, and it's just beautiful craftsmanship. But it's also functional because it keeps everything at the right temperature and humidity inside.
Natalie just loves glasses. Show us your favorite, will you, and
Okay.
why? I'm very interested to hear this.
Sure, sure. I like a good glass for me is one that lets wine breathe, lets wine have a little room. So you don't want those little itsy-bitsy golf ball glasses that you might get in some restaurants, and you equally don't want a big fish bowl because that's clumsy. Something about this size has a nice shape and lots of room to swish the wine around. Tasting, I think, is enhanced by the smell. I think 80% of what we pick up in wine is through our nose. We all think it's perhaps in our mouths or our palate, but our nose can detect about 2,000 aromas. Our mouth can pick up about 5. So the important thing is wine is volatile. The aromas are volatile. So if you swirl it, you can smell a lot more than if you just pick it up and drink it.
That's not pretentious to swirl.
No.
Swirling
No.
is okay.
Swirling's okay, although after you get to have this as a habit, you'll start swirling orange juice and water, and then that's pretentious. What have we got here?
Pinot Noir, of course, your favorite.
Mm-hmm. Where's it from?
It's from Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Natalie's current focus, Canadian wines. They comprise 30% of wine sales in Ontario, but she feels we underrate homegrown vintages.
I think a lot of people may be back in the zoological period when we had baby duck and Gimli goose.
Why are we so slow to accept our own offerings?
I think it's part of the Anne-Marie Celine Dion syndrome. You kind of have to get international acclaim, and then you come back home and we accept you with, open arms. Some really good stuff is coming out of Niagara. Great Pinot Noir, great Riesling, great food wines.
Her impact has been felt at popular wine restaurants like Bectet in Ottawa. Its predominantly Canadian wine list was named recently as one of the 3 best in Canada. It's now the favorite haunt of new PM Paul Martin.
When she recommends a wine, or a restaurant for that matter, hordes of people will follow her. She has had an enormous impact in positive ways for both the restaurant and the wine industries in Ottawa and Canada.
She has a huge following. So we have people that come in on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock when the store opens with their list from what Natalie's written up and recommended that they buy. And it's really funny because people are comparing notes, and she didn't like this one and she liked that one, and they all start talking amongst themselves.
Ottawa political insider and self-professed Pinot Noirophile Bill Milliken has felt Natalie's influence. It came after meeting at a wine tasting dinner.
She has a terrific sense of humor. She appears to be very shy and quiet, but she has a really terrific sense of humor, and she knows wine very well. And I just love the playful way that she describes wines in her newsletter when she's doing the reviews of what's coming out at the LCBO. Makes me want to try some wines that I would otherwise not look at because they're not Pinot Noir.
I can't imagine a better job getting paid to drink. What a gig.
Of course, we couldn't let the world's best wine writer get off without some seasonal recommendations.
So we've got from Spain, Peniscal, $8.95. Can't beat it. It's great, delicious wine. It's going to go with food. It's not going to offend anybody. It's great party wine, and it tastes twice as expensive as it costs. That's the key thing. Back to Canada. Jackson Triggs in Niagara. This one is around the $10, $12 mark, I think. And it's a Meritage, a blend of Cabernet, classic grapes, beautifully drinking wine. Now for our extra special wine, from California, we have Arrowwood. Gorgeous wine, smooth on the palate, lots of ripe fruit. It could be a meal itself. So it's $66. It's a little bit more on the pricey side, but again, it's good value for what it is. So, each wine, I think, delivers more than it costs, and that's the key thing.
Corey O'Kelly, CBC News, Ottawa.